Well, the Victorian Parliament has resumed this week, half empty, of course, with social distancing measures in place. Any hopes the Premier had for a China-free week have been quickly dashed, with the opposition taking up the fight to Daniel Andrews over his much criticised Belt and Road debt deal. It was a fiery day yesterday, with the Premier hitting back with personal attacks when questioned about his government's decision to proceed with a deal despite little to no support from federal Labor, as MP after federal MP say they do not support Victorian Labor's deal.
If the Leader of the Opposition wants to seriously suggest that the Victorian government has been the cause of impositions on our barley growers, well, he's welcome to make that point. He's welcome to make that point, and we'll see how many people follow that rather twisted logic. Not very many, I would think. Twisted, warped and wrong. Twisted, warped and wrong. That's your logic and you.
The man the Premier was attacking, Victorian Opposition Leader Michael O'Brien, joins me now from Parliament House in Melbourne. Michael O'Brien, you clearly got under the Premier's skin. He's reacting to you now in a very personal way over this Chinese Communist government deal. Are you surprised by a level of anger?
Good evening, Peter. No, look, I'm not surprised because that's the way Daniel Andrews plays it. When he's under pressure, which we put him under, he always tries to play the man. But look, that doesn't worry me. What I'm focused on is why Daniel Andrews signed Victoria up to a dud deal. This deal compromises jobs, it compromises our security, it compromises sovereignty. I made very clear last Saturday that if I am Premier, I will end the deal. Belt and Road will be done if Victorians vote for a Liberal National government at the next election. Daniel Andrews doesn't like the fact that we are taking it up to him, but that's our job and that's what we're going to keep doing.
I found it fascinating when he was asked about whether his government would look into China's human rights position. That's something that's always been at the forefront of federal governments, left or right. The Premier said this.
I wouldn't agree with the notion that I might go to Beijing and provide a lecture on a whole range of these matters, whilst at the same time encouraging the Chinese to buy Victorian product. I don't think that would be particularly conducive to more jobs or a stronger relationship. Now, if that is the mission of those opposite, to actually sell less goods to less customers, well, we don't agree with that approach. We don't agree with that approach. And if the Leader of the Opposition wants to lead a human rights delegation to China or any other country and then try and do a trade deal at the same time, I wish him luck, because I reckon he'll need it.
Condemned by his own words there, Michael O'Brien, he is making clear that that is exactly what the Chinese are buying with this Belt and Road deal. They give you the debt, Victoria, you take it up, and never again will you have anything said by the Victorian government into the future or currently about human rights abuses in China. That's why they wanted the Commonwealth government to sign up to this. That's why they're asking countries around the world, take our money and just don't then raise human rights abuses. Daniel Andrews just admitted it in that grab.
It was a very telling exchange, Peter, I have to say. Scott Morrison got it right. Australia is a great trading nation and we'll trade anything, but we won't trade our values. Clearly, Daniel Andrews doesn't subscribe to that. For the man who promotes himself as the most progressive political leader in the country, is very happy to ditch progressive values. He's very happy to ditch any talk about human rights when it comes to making sure that his friends in the Chinese government don't get embarrassed. Frankly, my view is Victoria, Australia, we stand for some things. We are a democracy. We proudly are a democracy. We do support freedom and individual rights. We do support things which the Chinese government doesn't, and we should not have our silence being bought by trade deals. Daniel Andrews has a different view. I think he's wrong, and I don't think Victorians support Daniel Andrews.
There's reports today and yesterday in the media that these links to the Chinese Communist Party and support for some crazy ideas, i.e. that this Wuhan virus was put there by the US military, have links back to staff in the Premier's own office. Now, he's saying he's standing by these staff. What's this all about?
It is bizarre, Peter. There is a staffer for Daniel Andrews, works in his office. Has somebody who has been associated with the United Front group. Now, the United Front is the I suppose, the propaganda vehicle for the Chinese Communist Party. There's a number of organisations around the world. One of these people who associated with the United Front works for Daniel Andrews. Now, I asked Daniel Andrews today, has this person been vetted by security agencies? I mean, the Premier's office has got confidential material lying around, lots of access to things which other governments, other nations would love to get their hands on. I asked the question whether there'd been any vetting of this staff member, and clearly the answer was no. What I'm concerned about is our jobs, our security and our sovereignty. Daniel Andrews is dismissing any questions. Peter, he is so invested in doing this deal with the Chinese government. He seems to be prepared to trade away everything that Victorians believe in. Now, I've got no problem trading with China or any other country, but only on the basis of a fair deal. And what worries me is that Daniel Andrews has signed us up to a very bad deal, a dud deal, and I don't think we should be having our silence on human rights board. I don't think we should be having any sort of agreements on things which the Chinese government does which don't sit well with Australians. Frankly, that shouldn't be up for trade.
Look, there's estimates there'll be a Black Lives Matters protest set for Melbourne on Saturday. There is estimates there'll be 20,000 people assembled. Victorian Police Minister Lisa Neville yesterday had this to say.
If you've got 10,000 people there, it's impossible to start doing infringements without it causing massive safety issues for police.
OK, Victoria leads the country, sadly, in COVID fines. We can't do half the things in this state that they can in other states. Restrictions are locked down. How are they going to have a protest with social distancing for 20,000, or will, because it is led by certain sections of the left-wing activist groups, will it go ahead with no sort of punitive result?
Well, Peter, Victoria is the lockdown state, sadly, and the same police minister you've just quoted had previously said any pub that opens that has 100 people there, everyone will be fined. So why is it that if a small business opens and breaches, whether it's accidentally or not, their lockdown rules, fines will be issued? But if thousands of people want to gather together in a political protest, apparently you get a get-out-of-jail-free card. It just shows you that under Daniel Andrews, there are two laws. There's one for Daniel Andrews, the Labor Party and the causes they support, and then there's the law for every other Victorian.